Sponsors and the money they bring are arguably the main reason the wheel of motorsports keeps turning. They provide funding to the teams, exposure to the sport, and most importantly, some great paint jobs for us fans watching at home to enjoy. And because of this, you see pretty much every IndyCar team in the current day have a full or part-time sponsor, with PNC Bank sponsoring Dixon, to Husky Chocolate with Ericsson, and even way back in the backmarkers where you have Nurtec with the Dale Coyne 51 car. Without a sponsor, teams are in quite the predicament, with hundreds of thousands to even millions of dollars of funding missing from the team's wallet, and they either try and scrape by just long enough to put together a part-time deal to get afloat again, or just collapse outright. And so justifiably, teams that find themselves in that situation, or even more well-off teams that just forgot to read the fine print, may sign a sketchy sponsor that pays with some form of ill-gotten gains, won't pay up when the time comes, can't pay up, or simply just disappears outright. Many examples of this exist across the long and storied history of IndyCar, from the start of sponsorship to the present day. These are the scammers, crooks, and charlatans of IndyCar sponsors. Why not start this off with an energy drink sponsor? A type not at all unfamiliar with being shady in the body of motorsport sponsorship. For the 2014 season, Bryan Herta, owner of the eponymous Bryan Herta Racing Team, announced that he had signed a new sponsor for the 98 car of Jack Hawksworth to debut at the 5th rounds of the season at the Indianapolis road course. The sponsor was Integrity Energy Drink, and I don't forgive you if you haven't heard of them before, as apparently no one else had either when the deal was announced. The drink was promoted as a healthy, nutritious beverage, which would promote health and well-being in the body, which had tapped into the high-demand energy drinks marketplace with an exciting product designed to taste great and promote well-being in the human body. Their words, not mine. When I picture an energy drink, I picture something the opposite of healthy. Despite the brand's claim of being a high-demand drink among the energy drink market, the only information I can find about them is in relation to the sponsorship deal and the associated controversy, which I will cover soon. As if this wasn't a red flag enough, the company's rhetoric of saying that IndyCar fans will be invited to join the family of Integrity Associates at IndyCar venues throughout the season reeks of it being an MLM scheme or multi-level marketing scheme, which, in short, is a business model which is pretty much a pyramid scheme designed to look like a legit company. But Herta either didn't see the red flags or chose to look past them, and he signed a $2 million deal with the energy drink company, complete with the company's logo being plastered all over the car, complete with a fluorescent green paint job to match the Integrity colors. The deal got off to a good start, with Hawksworth getting a 7th place at the sponsor's first race at the Indy road course, but as the season rolled on, Integrity's lack of integrity showed as their checks bounced, leaving only $470,000 out of the $2 million paid to Herta. Herta got an apology from the CEO on the missed payment, but no more money came through, and so Herta filed a lawsuit against the company for their breach of contract. I can't find any information of the result of the lawsuit, but if Herta won or lost, his racing team was still crippled from the missing $1.5 million, with it running one more season in 2015 with Gabby Chavez as the driver after Hawksworth bailed to AJ Foyt Racing before collapsing and being absorbed into Andretti Racing for the 2016 season. While many teams may risk it with a shady sponsor in order to cover their costs over a season, in the 80s, a few owners and drivers used a whole other shady way to finance the operations, the good old-fashioned federal crime of drug smuggling. In my 5th IndyCar Iceberg video, I cover the career of John Paul Jr., a driver whose father, John Paul Sr., was a prolific IMSA racer and team owner, and also felon, with him being arrested multiple times for drug trafficking and first-degree murder, and also being suspected in 2 separate disappearance cases, before going off the grid in 2001, and he hasn't been heard from since, to the behest of many federal investigators. No doubt, he used some of his ill-gotten gains from drug smuggling to fully fund his IMSA team and to help fund his son's career in Indycar in the mid-80s, who was also complicit in his father's illegal business ventures. When Paul Sr. went to prison in the late 80s for a murder charge, his son struggled to re-establish himself in IMSA and IndyCar without the drug money behind him, but he was eventually able to find a seat back in IndyCar, with him winning one more race in 1998 before retiring the next year. Some more examples of drug smuggling race car drivers exist, mainly IMSA, but this is an IndyCar-centric video, and so I will not go over their stories today. In the mid-80s, when ads for L. Ron Hubbard's book, Dianetics, dominated cable TV, its associated cult of Scientology began to make its entrance into the wild world of motorsport sponsorship in the IMSA series with the Kremer Racing Team and superstars Mario and Michael Andretti at the wheel for the 1998 World Challenge at Tampa. But Mario, after realizing what Dianetics promoted, refused to drive the car due to the fact that he was a devout Catholic and due to his relation to the Vatican, and Michael stood by his father, refusing to drive unless all stickers relating to Dianetics were taken off, much to the team owner's behest, as the deal was worth a lot of money. The owners put the book's publication company on the car instead to satisfy the sponsor, and Mario and Michael finished 6th. And with their car not associated directly with Dianetics, little awareness was built with the audience. And so with Scientology's vaults flush with money taken from its many members, more sponsorship deals hoping to bring more members to the cult were quickly made. For the second round of the 1988 IndyCar season at Long Beach, Dianetics stickers appeared on the Granatelli racing car of Roberto Guerrero after they originally tried to sponsor Penske's team, but that was put to an end when Penske's wife did not want to be associated with Dianetics, and so their funding went to the Granatelli team instead. The team owner, Vince Granatelli, knew that signing a deal with the book would be controversial, but thought there was minimal link between it and Scientology, and the team at the time was underfunded, with Granatelli paying most expenses out of his own pocket, and so he needed funding to keep the team going. The relation between the sponsor and the team was fine for the first 2 races at Long Beach and Indy, but for the 3rd race at Milwaukee, Granatelli started to get annoyed with the publication company, Bridge Publications' excessive involvement, with him having to shoo many of their people out of the pit area a few times before the race. When race day came, Roberto Guerrero spun and crashed into turn 2 on the first lap, and this being just one of the few turn 2 crashes of Guerrero's career, prompted one of the people working for the publication company to tell Granatelli that they would like to audit Guerrero, which, if you don't know, is an intensive Q&A session with a Scientology higher-up, said to bring people from a condition of spiritual blindness to spiritual existence, but in reality, it's just a way to get blackmail and other sensitive information to hold against the person being audited if they decide to speak out or leave the cult in the future. They said they wanted to audit Guerrero to help him with what they thought was a psychological reason for him crashing at the various turn 2s. This was the final straw between the partnership between Dianetics and Granatelli, who realized the close link between the book and Scientology, and he was quoted as saying, "The second you talk to my driver about crashing in turn 2 is the day you'll lose me. You will no longer be my sponsor. You can think whatever you like. I've been in racing for 40 years, and we are talking about a coincidence here." During Guerrero's stay in the hospital after his crash, actor John Travolta sent him flowers in the hospital, and when Granatelli asked him why, as him and Guerrero had no previous relation, he said the Church of Scientology, which he was involved with, had told him to. Granatelli said to Guerrero regarding the cult's advances, "I don't think that is a good idea, Roberto. If you want to go through it, you are a grown man. Do what you want to do, but I don't believe that's going to make a difference." Guerrero eventually caved to Scientology's advances and agreed to an auditing session, but never did any more after the one, saying, "I thought it was the weirdest thing ever. After one session, I think I'm okay." Scientology tried to get Guerrero to agree to more auditing sessions, which he refused, and this combined with Granatelli's reservations about the sponsorship led him to cancel the deal with Dianetics for the 4th round of the season. Dianetics, however, wasn't done yet, and so offered Granatelli $750,000 each race after Milwaukee to keep the stickers on the car, but Granatelli refused, leaving $8 million on the table. After this saga, the prevalence of Dianetics in motorsport diminished, with their logos only showing up in IMSA and the 24 Hours of Le Mans, until completely disappearing in the early 90s, with a one-off deal in NASCAR in 2006 being the sole exception. Anyways, this wraps up this video about some scammers, crooks, and charlatans in the world of IndyCar sponsorship, and the stories behind them, and the teams they preyed on. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you liked the video, leave it a like. If you like the content I put out, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.